Skate America 2019 presented by American Cruise Lines, and it is Friday night in the City of Lights, Las Vegas, and we're just a couple miles off the Strip. And tonight it felt like Broadway here inside the Orleans Arena because we had the rhythm dance, and as we expected, after that rhythm dance, it's Madison Hubble and Zachary Donahue in the lead, a safe 3 points over Alexandra Stepanova and Yvonne Buchin in third place, Laurence Fournier-Boudry and Nikolai Sorensen. We're going to break down everything that happened in rhythm dance. We're also going to give you a preview of the ladies' short program. So much to get to. Good evening, everyone. Nick McCarville alongside Michael Weiss, Brooke Castile, and I have to start with you, Sinead Kerr. We saw some great dancing there overall, but no great shock as Madison Hubble and Zach Donahue, they come away from the rhythm dance on top of the podium.
Yeah, results-wise, it was pretty much as expected. Hubble and Donahue came into this as favourites. They skated clean, and they come out on top at the end. I mean, Stepanova, Buchin were in there as well, but I didn't expect them to come out on top at this competition. So yeah, results-wise, pretty much as we thought beforehand, or as we predicted. For me personally, I had a couple of favourites in there that weren't in the top two. The Canadians I loved, Fournier-Boudry and Sorensen. I thought they were very strong.
Bonnie and Clyde, better known
Bonnie and Clyde. I think I'm just going to say those names from now on because they're kind of easier for me. And Smart and Diaz with their Grease number. I thought that was a great routine, really fun. I kind of wish the crowd had gotten into a bit more, actually. The crowd were a little bit deader than I thought with that routine. But I think as the season goes on, that's definitely going to continue to be a crowd pleaser.
You loved those programs too.
Oh my gosh, I love them, and I can't wait to see them at the end of the season when they have the mileage on them and they have the training and the energy. I feel like both of those programs are perfectly choreographed and they're absolute perfection. They're just still not like quite enough speed and power yet.
Sure.
So when that comes, I mean, those are two of my favorite dance programs. They're great.
And they're two teams, the Canadians and the Spanish, who have lots of room to grow in their careers. Let's go ahead and check out. They're the defending champions, Hubble and Donahue. They're reigning U.S. champions. And let's go ahead and look at their rhythm dance. This is Marilyn Monroe there, Madison Hubble. We love the costume. We love the idea of it. How did they skate overall?
Yeah, I thought they skated pretty well. That twizzle was actually probably one of their small mistakes that they made throughout the performance. There was a couple of little bits here and there that just need a little bit more polish. But overall, I mean, they skated it about as well as they would be hoping for, I would think, at this first competition, the first outing. And yeah, I mean, it's always going to grow. I mean, the mileage will come from just competition to competition. So by Worlds, they're going to have this routine a lot more polished and refined.
Mike, one thing we were kind of debating before the rhythm dance is this is the very first time they've competed this season, and we weren't sure if we were going to see one of those big errors. We didn't see it from them tonight, but they are a team that's sometimes prone to that.
Yeah, and you know what's like last year, you know, they started their season winning all their Grand Prix events. So they started out hot out the chute, and this year they decided to kind of, you know, not have a competition before their first Grand Prix event. And I don't know, I think it kind of showed with this performance. It looks like they haven't, it's different to practice it is than it is to performance it in front of thousands of people and the judges. And I think this is a newer looking program and a newer looking performance than they did tonight. No major mistakes, as you said, but it didn't flash like they were at the end of the season last year.
I almost feel like we talked about sometimes they get a little bit over the top, and I almost missed that. I almost felt like it was a little too controlled for them. One of the things that makes them so great is that they like put everything to the edge as far as they can, and I thought that was a little bit missing, but I think that's a little bit the nature of having musicals and Broadway be your theme. I feel like it gets a little bit hollow, especially like these show tunes. They're not full-bodied. They're very tinny and hollow, and I feel like you saw that kind of in the event. It was a little underwhelming as far as energy is concerned. The ones we liked the most were musicals. They were, you know, movies or something a little bit more themed, not just like the show tune.
Yeah, classic Broadway.
Classic, like a little bit old-fashioned.
Yep.
And
the overall event
I didn't
had that feel. It's an interesting point. Yeah.
And I think you can see it in teams, especially like Hubble and Donahue, who usually have like this crazy grasp on you when they skate and they pull you in, and I just didn't get that. And I'm not sure it's them. I think it might be this theme. I could be wrong, but that's the feel I got.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I hear you. It's not as much their thing as, say, a blues would be.
Yes.
I'm not 100% sold on their music choice, if I'm going to be totally honest.
Hubble and Donahue?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold on it.
I wasn't either.
Yeah, so for me, that's not what I would have picked for them.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it grows as the year goes on.
They're going to be at Skate Canada next week. Maybe they would recalibrate things if they're not happy with what the judges feel after those first two Grand Prix. They're in first. In second place, Stepanova and Buchan, who skated last. And this is a Moulin Rouge themed program. What were your takeaways from this rhythm dance? They really went for it on the costumes,
They
first
did,
of
yeah,
all.
for sure.
And then they sold this program pretty well, too.
Yeah, I thought so. For me, I thought they started out strong. Like the first half, the first music choice, I was like, okay, this is good. I think this could actually challenge Hubble and Donahue. This was, for me, it was looking already really pretty decent. And then the second half, just for me, died a little bit. I'm not sure if that
Not
was...
like Celine, well, kind of like Celine in the movie.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Literally died.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't as keen on the second half of the program, but again, that's something that they could take away and look at, and it's again only going to grow as the season goes on. But yeah, strong
Are
performance.
they kissing?
Though.
Were they kissing at
Oh,
the
yeah,
end?
they kissed at the end.
Oh, we
was
didn't
a
have
kiss.
that angle. We were at a different,
Yeah,
well,
that was a smooch, mid-eye smooch. What do you think?
extra points.
One of the benefits of having a partner on the ice, I had nobody to kiss.
What did you?
Would have been so much
I
better.
was
sorry
It
about
would have been so much better.
That's why it's great that you and I are making an ice dance comeback, right?
That's how we're going to end our program.
What did you think of Stepanova Buchan?
I agreed with Sinead. I thought I was really excited when they were skating to Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. I love that music choice. I didn't like her costume. It looked like Firebird to me, so I thought it was a little bit distracting. It didn't show off. Like, she's got an amazing body, and it just was too much to look at. But I feel the same way. They added a beat and a guitar to my song, or your song at the end, which is such an amazing song. And Sinead was explaining that you have to have a beat in dance.
For the rhythm dance, you have to have a constant
Some
beat
sort
through
of-
it, and that particular song does
Does
not
not.
have a constant beat, so they did have to add something. But
Took
it's
away
such
from
a
it.
popular song that it just sounded kind of wrong.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so they're in second place by 3 points. In third place, let's get to one of our crowd favorites, Fournier Boudry and Sorensen, the Canadian team, who's now the number 2 Canadian team with Weaver Poget out. And you really liked this program. This is
love
Bonnie and
this.
Clyde.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, I love the theme right from the beginning. I mean, even their start pose, and they carried it through to the, even during their twizzles, they were doing the arm movement. This is like the surrendering, and then I think they had the hands in the gun
points.
position for the second
And then they
twizzle.
drop it when he says drop it. It's so
Yes,
clever.
so cool, so musical. And yeah, I thought they really pulled this theme off, and it suits their style of skating as well. I mean, they are a strong, feisty team, and this music suited that. So for me, they got it bang on. They got it right in this competition.
What I liked about this program that was different from a lot of the other ones is that they had a very, like, they had a moment in the program with that twizzle sequence, the way the music changed, the way it highlighted, it kind of took you out and brought you in more at the same time. Whereas a lot of the other programs were just kind of the same the whole way through, and there weren't moments, there weren't things that I remembered.
I think it didn't look like, oh, it's a rhythm dance. It looked
No.
more like a free dance or a show program,
Yeah.
which is great because it kind of all the elements were melded together slightly better. It wasn't like, oh my god, here's my lift, here's my rhythm dance, here's my step sequence.
Yes.
It was very well put together.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite things about that team is that I never know when they're doing an element or choreography. It's all the same, which is a great thing. You can't tell. It all melts together perfectly. They're really good.
So Hubble Donahue 83, Stepanova Buchan 80, the Canadian team at 77, and then Smart Diaz, which was one of your favorites, the Greece program. They're just 2 points off the podium. Could we see them maybe climb into that top 3 in the free dance?
I think there's always a shot. They do have a strong free dance, and they have competed a few times this year already and done well. But I do think the Canadians have the edge over them with strength and power and speed across the ice. So for me, I think the Canadians will maintain that third place spot, but it's not impossible. With a mistake from the Canadians, it's not impossible.
It's really interesting. I love seeing the front runners. It's so interesting though to have these 5 of the 10 teams competing here. This was another discussion we were having pre-rhythm dance. I'm wondering what your perspective is. 5 of these 10 teams here are Montreal teams. And the benefit, but also maybe the cost a little bit. I mean, how can the coaches really pay that close attention to those 5 teams this weekend?
I've often wondered that too, but Marie-France Dubray and Patrice Lauzon, they've created an environment there that is it's infectious. I mean, it's like they're very efficient, they're very detail oriented, and I thought the same thing. Like, okay, are you spreading yourself too thin when you have that many incredible, or are you just becoming so efficient and so good at creating winning performances that you can throw that on each individual athlete? And it seems like that's what they're doing, because yes, they have an environment that breeds champion
Seems
ice
to be working.
dancers.
Well, and
That's for sure.
when you have that many good teams in one place, they do the work of pushing each other, and you as a coach no longer have to. So that gives you the energy to put into the teams the things that you need to do, like the creativity, like technical stuff, instead of trying to motivate and beg someone to work hard or get them to reach their full potential. You have all these teams together, they're doing that for you.
I'm still just wondering. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, I feel like that would be an awesome TV show. Like, think about how dramatic and like ice dancers are, right?
Yeah.
Now put them all in a confined space and make them train together morning, noon, and night. That could make great television.
When I
That's
was
my
competing,
idea, by the way.
when I was competing, I trained with Igor Spielman and Marina Zueva,
Yeah.
with all the top ice dancers: Tanith Belvin, Ben Augusto, Meryl and Charlie, Tessa and Scott, and it was the same. It was all of those top teams together, and we often said we really need a reality
And
show
could it have
following
been?
us. A reality
It
show?
could have been.
Oh yeah, it wasn't dramatic. It was just the personalities that you
Oh, it
mixed
was dramatic.
together.
Come on, Brooke.
No, it
Of course
wasn't.
it is.
Everyone worked really hard and pushed each other, and it was a really well-constructed working environment.
Okay.
And that's what I think is going on in Montreal right now.
The Real World Montreal, produced by Michael Weiss. I cannot wait for that. That's Ice Desk After Dark. We've got the free dance tomorrow, of course. We're excited for that. But let's go ahead and turn our attention to the ladies. We have some of the best female single skaters in the world. First of all, let's check in with a former U.S. champion who's making a bit of a comeback this season.
I'm really looking forward to just going to college and meeting new people, making new friends, and kind of experience my life outside of skating. I know for sure this past 4 years, especially when I started knowing that I had a shot at making the 2018 Olympic team, I really just zoned in on skating, and skating was priority, school was second, everything else was below skating. And now kind of not necessarily bringing skating down, but bringing everything else up there and knowing that there's a lot more to life. That's pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting indeed for Karen Chen, who is at Cornell now. And we talk about the Montreal atmosphere. Karen Chen's almost doing it alone. I mean, still with Tammy Gamble, but there's really, for her, she's trying to figure out a whole new career after taking that season away from the sport.
Well, I think it's good sometimes when athletes kind of get a perspective, because we all grew up in that bubble of figure skating, and you think that, and it's your whole life. It's your day revolves around how your run through was in practice every day. Your life is engrossed in this, and when you can step away, you go away to college. You like Nathan Chen has done, like Karen Chen has done. They go away to college. It puts a perspective on things that sometimes is a very positive. You realize that skating is very important to me, but there's a whole nother world out there that is just as important, and if you can thrive in that type of environment at Cornell, you can apply the things that made you successful in skating to things that'll make you successful in school, and eventually things will make you successful in life. And that's my speech. That's my
I'm
motivational
loving this.
speech.
You
Life
are,
lessons
that's
by Michael Weiss.
some life lessons. I love that. Karen Chen skating fourth this evening in the first group. Let's go ahead and take a look at the skate order. It includes another American in that first group, Amber Glenn. There's Amber, Karen's fourth. But all eyes, Brooke, are going to be on Anna Sherbakova. She's got a quad Lutz. We're not going to see the quad in the short program. We can go ahead and take a look at page 2 too. This is the second group of skaters. So Sherbakova is going to wrap up the first group, and then look at this: Tuktamisheva, Lim, Higuchi, Tanel, Sakamoto, Konstantinova. That's quite the lineup. Sherbakova, though, I mean, how excited are we to see her tonight? She's part of that trio of young Russians that are making their move into the seniors.
I tend to go more for programs and artistry. Not anymore. Now that these Russian girls are doing these amazing quads, I can't get enough of it. I think it is so exciting. I love that the sport is being pushed so far forward so quickly, and I'm really curious to see what it does to the rest of the world and what everyone does in response to it, and if they even can respond to it. How do you go from triples being what you have to all of a sudden having 4 quads in a program? it's astonishing.
Well, it's the first time in skating history where the women technically are right there with the men. I mean, the Russian girls are capable of doing 2, 3, and 4 quads in a program. Nathan Chen does 3, 4, 5 quads in a program. That's right. Like you think back in the old days, we talked the old days.
Your days.
I'm loving this.
But think about Brian Boitano, like 2 triple axles in the Olympics when Katarina Witt did, triple salto, toe, and loop.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was not comparable technically. And now here you have the top women who are very young, 12, 13, 14, and in Sherbakova's situation, 15 years old, that can compete with the top men technically in the world. It's the first time it's
and
ever
what's
happened.
interesting is that the women are not allowed to do a quad in the short program, but
Right.
men are, and I don't see how that's fair.
Is that rule going to change
I don't
in the
get
next
it.
5
It
years?
should change.
3 years, 5 years?
I feel like it. You know me. We've been talking on this ice test for years. I'm never one to want to hinder anybody technically.
I think you should be able to do what you are capable of doing.
Well, that's what sports are about. Anytime you should never be in a situation in any sport where you're limiting somebody technically, in my opinion. And in that case, if the purpose is to, okay, maybe, they don't have them doing so many quads when they're young, and that's why the younger skaters aren't here at the senior international competitions. They're doing them anyway. Alyssa Liu is doing quad lutzes, whether she's allowed to compete internationally or not.
Right.
So she's doing them. So if the purpose was to keep them from doing them, that didn't work. And then it's like, okay, now the women can do it in the free skate, can't do it in the short program. What are they trying to accomplish? I don't know.
Confusion.
Just confusion.
I mean, it doesn't make sense, and that's when people don't want to watch the sport is because they don't understand it. Oh, this girl can do a quad. Wait, why didn't she do it?
Right.
You can't do it in the short
but- it's
right
bound
now.
to
Because
change.
you're
It
not
has
allowed
to.
to do it in the
You think it
short.
will?
Why?
I think it will. I think it'll
should.
change with
Well,
all
the-
these girls now doing it. Yeah,
Back
up
in the
to now
90s
there was nobody doing it, so maybe they didn't even think about that
Yeah.
rule. But
Well, back in the 90s, that was the way with the men. We weren't allowed to do it in the short program, and then eventually we were allowed to do it in the short program. But that is actually to the advantage of Tuktamisheva because she can do a triple axel. You're allowed to do that in the short program for the women. And so she has a triple axel that is out of this world. That gives her pretty nice advantage going into the short program because Sherbakova cannot do a quad. So Tuktamisheva can do a triple axel and get her technically in the short program.
Interesting. Sherbakova, part of that trio of young Russians. You also have Trusova and you have Kosternaya. We're going to see Sherbakova tonight. We're also going to see, as you said, the triple axel queen herself, Elizaveta Tuktamisheva, and Shanae Kerr had a chance to chat with Elizaveta.
Lisa, welcome to Skate America. For a lot of skaters, this is the first competition of their season. It's the first Grand Prix, but for you, you've competed already 3 times this season. Was that a deliberate thing in your preparation and plans leading up to the season?
Yeah, it was the plan, and I know it's not the usual schedule for figure skating sportsmen, but I think it's helpful, and I feel more no power, more confidence in the ice. So I hope that this preparation will. I will feeling in this Grand Prix in the short and free program. So I don't know. I feel okay with that.
Okay, first of all, I love Tuktamisheva. I always feel like she's just so. She just said we should have her on Ice Desk more because she says whatever she's thinking or feeling. What were your takeaways from that, and the fact that she's already competed 3 times this season?
yeah, and she said she was trying to find the word, but she said the word confidence, and I really do feel it has given her a confidence doing those 3 competitions coming into this. She seemed very focused, very calm, and very much like she was here to win. Like she just had this real confidence about her. And I really do think that having those 3 events behind her are really going to hold her in good stead coming into this.
Well,
Yeah.
it looks like she's mid-season form because her
Yes.
triple axel has been a great jump for her, but more so here than any other time I've seen her in her skating career, how consistent it is. And it's easy. She has difficult entrances and exits from these triple axels now. It's a beautiful jump. It's a consistent jump. So she's not only going to get the points on from it, she's also going to get a great of execution with the ease at which she's doing it.
Okay, you actually talk about that ease, and I'm wondering technically, how are these young Russians, and you can actually put Tuktamisheva, she's not technically young when you look at a 15-year-old, she's in her 20s, but these young Russians are able to do these jumps. What are they doing technically that they're able to do it, not with ease, but the way that they are?
We talked about this a little earlier, and I think the way that they're teaching them is they teach quadruple jumps. Like they just teach a generic, they want you up in the air, they want that snap, they want a tight rotation, and they want 4 rotations and a landing. and then they apply that to any different takeoff. They apply it to a sound, they apply it to a toe, they apply it to a flip or a Lutz, and it's like, it's just a different entrance to my quad. We'll call this one a Lutz. We'll call this one a toe. And that efficiency on that takeoff and that air position and that jump, they found a way to do it and to apply it to many different young skaters. It's effective.
And as a coach, I mean, when you look at their ability to do that, is it finding that right approach and then finding the right athletes to do it? What's the perfect recipe?
Well, they have a lot of athletes, so they have a lot of girls who, you know, the more you have, you're going to get more success, right? There's going to be good ones. If you have 2 skaters, what are the odds of both of them being great versus 200, right? Also, we were talking about this earlier, it's kind of like new iPhones coming out every year with these Russian girls, like, okay, Medvedeva was iPhone 7, Zagidova's iPhone 8.
That's such a good comparison.
Trusova is iPhone 10S or XS, and then
who's the
now
new
we
11?
have the 11
newest
Pro is
Kosternaya.
Kosternaya, and she's actually the only one that's like all around an amazing skater.
Oh, beautiful.
But with these Russian girls, we were talking about the technique. I think also they don't teach. They teach for technical excellence, but they don't teach for longevity. So they're focusing more on, let's learn this stuff so that you can complete it while you're young, but they don't necessarily teach basics, which take much longer to learn correct skating that will last through your 20s when you've grown. They don't teach that necessarily, I don't think, so that skaters last a long time. Once they grow and they get a little older, all of these like little weaknesses that they have that they didn't learn when they were young that creates good base skating comes through, and that's when they kind of like start to fall off.
Well, just toss it off and get a new iPhone.
Well, that's the thing. My screen cracked. You just wait for the new one to come out, and it's got upgrades.
I don't know which version she is, but Tuktamisheva has turned herself from an iPhone 3
Yes.
into a new 10.
Yes.
Because of the way that she's
And
skating.
she's from a
with your
different camp,
analogy.
though.
Yes, right.
She
Exactly.
is. And well, Alexei Mishin, their coach, has he's a master at creating champions, and he's a master at creating technically efficient skaters, and she's just continued to get better and better as she's gotten older.
Yeah, she absolutely has.
Okay, so you've got Sherbakova, you've got Tuktamisheva, and Stanislava Konstantinova. Those are your Russians in the field, but there's a whole slew of other skaters. It's really Russia against the world when you look at ladies single skating right now. Brady Tennell, Amber Glenn, and Karen Chen skating for Team USA this weekend. And for Brady Tennell, as U.S. champion a couple years ago, obviously, she hasn't maybe necessarily had the results that she's wanted in the recent past. But what are you looking for from the Americans to try to maybe stand up against this Russian slew?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously tough. Just with the technical brilliance of the Russians at the moment for the Americans to compete with it. But I think the one thing from Brady we've seen is definitely a growth in her skating and her maturity, and she's really trying to package herself a little bit more with the components. So not just focusing on the jumps. Obviously, she has that as well. I know there's been problems sometimes with under rotations and stuff in the past, but she's really trying to package herself more. When I think back to a couple of years ago when she first sprang onto the scene, and the program was just a little immature. She was consistent, she was clean, but there was something not quite there yet with the rest of her presentation. And I think that that's something she's really improved upon. And this season, seeing her in practice, her programs look already a lot more mature. So I'm looking forward to seeing that strength from her.
Can Tennell land on the podium this weekend? Is that possible?
It's definitely possible. Yeah, it's possible if she skates clean programs. The biggest question is going to be under rotations, as Sinead said. If she gets full rotation and credit for these jumps, she can be competitive. She's doing the triple Lutz, triple toe again. She tried the triple Lutz, triple loop a little bit last year, but since that injury with her ankle, she said she didn't want to take off and land with that element. It bothers her ankle the most, so she's back to triple Lutz, triple toe. If she skates clean, you never know. Skating's a slippery sport.
Yeah.
But do not forget Sakamoto, too.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that
I
was
was
my
gonna
next.
say,
Sure.
Sakamoto.
And it is the Lutz toe. That's the planned opening triple for Tennell, as you mentioned. And then she's actually staying on the same floor as me at the hotel, Sakamoto, who I've seen a couple times in the elevator and just kind of say hello to the skater, but don't bother them too much. But she's someone who we've been able to see has had high highs, but some low lows. But she's such a beautiful skater when she hits everything the way that she wants to.
Yeah, she's one of our favorites on ice. She's been at Skate America as long as we've been doing. Well, as long as me and you have been doing it.
2 years ago,
and last year as well. And she's just she has her speed and ice coverage is unmatched by anyone, and her jumps just fly. They're huge, and I just think that she gets very high GOE on her jumps. Not just, okay, what is the technical base value? Is it higher than everyone's? But the actual GOE, and they, again, last year changed from only going to a +3 to +5 for people like that who have exceptional GOE on these jumps that are above everyone else.
She has higher GOE and she has higher jumps. Like, I mean, literally, she has like springs in her legs. That's the first thing I noticed a couple years ago. But remember, she's been second at Skate America the last 2 years, and she's like, all right, I obviously skate well at this competition. It's time for me to win one. So she wants to be on top. I know that because I did the same thing. I've been second at Skate America numerous times, and I'm like, I want to win it once. And I feel like that's where she's at.
Oh,
go give her a pep talk.
Yeah, this is what you need to
more
do.
Michael Weiss,
So did you ever win
please,
it?
on
Yes, I
Ice
did.
Desk.
Okay, good.
How many times?
Just once. I got second like 28 times.
Let's go ahead and look at our skating order tonight. There's Amber Glenn will skate second for Team USA. Karen Chen, there's Sherbakova. She's in the first group, which is kind of weird to look at. This is, of course, going off of world rankings. A lot of that is from last year. Tuktamisheva, Unsu Lim, we haven't talked about her. She could play a factor. Wakaba Higuchi, she's been a total roller coaster in her career. Brady Tennell, of course, Sakamoto, and then Konstantinova, who's kind of struggled in the last year or so. We are very, very excited for tonight's Ladies Short program. Any great surprises happening out there? Anyone?
I mean,
Maybe?
I think the whole thing is going to be kind of being a nice surprise with it being the first Grand Prix of the season, and there's just so many good names out there. It's going to be an exciting event.
I'm really excited. I loved your interview with Tuktamisheva. I'm really excited to watch her skate.
I say she wins the short. I say Sherbakova's second. And I say Kiori Sakamoto's third after the short program.
I agree.
It's my prediction.
Okay, well, you were 3 for 3 on the guys.
Yeah, let's see what we got here.
Yeah, you got to rub the bald head for a little. There we go. There it is. And this is live right now. This ice desk is live, but also this shot is live. There's Group 1. They're just taking to the ice. Thank you to our producer, Tara Wellman, for calling that one out. And guess what, guys? We're going to be right here to wrap up the whole day's action on Ice Desk. It's Skate America 2019, presented by American Cruise Lines. And for now, go watch some skating. NBC Sports Gold, it's free this weekend. Go try it out. And we're gonna be sat at this ice desk here the whole time. We'll watch the skating right with you, and then come back, hang out with us, ask some questions on Facebook Live. But for now, for Michael, for Brooke, and for Shanae, I'm Nick McCarville, and this is Figure Skating. Let's go watch the ladies short. Here we go.